So I've showed this mold before. This is the LF227. It is the vertical paperweight mold from Creative Paradise. And I just love this mold, so much so that now I have two of them. And I am going to play with two projects. I have a lot of leftover still underwater sea life Murini that I have from Tabitha Burrell. And I also have some of Tabitha's amazing mandala slices. And so I'm gonna do two different projects here. So what the first step is, I'm gonna put some glass in here, and I've got a full fuse going into the kiln. So I'm gonna put some scrap in here and full fuse it so that I can create a base layer, which is the background of the paperweight. And so I'm gonna use some clear in one, the one for the mandalas. I just want these to really shine, to really come through as they are, without any other color. So I'm just gonna do some clear Tecta scrap in the back of this and melt it down. And on this one, I'm gonna use a couple of different colors of blue, transparent, to create a background water effect. And so I'm gonna fill these both, and I'm gonna full fuse them, and then I'll show them to you when they come out. Okay, my first firing has come out. I probably needed to use a little bit more clear, but this will be fine. So this one is the clear one. There were a few gaps here. And then this is the one that I did the watery colors with. So now my intention is to drop these right back into the molds that they came out of, and then start to build my designs on top of them. So first, I'm going to focus on the mandalas here, and I'm going to arrange them in here. I'm going to use a little bit of hairspray to kind of get them where I want them to be. Then I'm going to cover the whole thing with chopped up Tecta to give me some additional volume here. And you have to remember, this top is the front of the mold, and I want depth in here. So this is a relatively shallow piece, which is good. Then I'm going to put the mandalas in the back here, which then I'll fill it with glass so that I get, you know, kind of a thick, clear layer and create that depth. And then after I've got those in here and covered with clear, then I'm going to do the same and create my underwater fish design and cover that with clear. So let's take a little bit of time, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, a little word on this one. I didn't end up gluing any of those mandalas down because they were really, you know, relatively stationary. And I just filled this up with Tecta. As you saw, I did some very large chunks, and it's kind of standing up over the end. I'm sure there's a fill weight on this mold, and I don't know what it is. And sometimes I'm a rule follower, and sometimes I'm not. So I just chopped up large pieces of Tecta scrap. I didn't want them too small because the smaller they are, I think the more bubbles I might tend to get. In this case, I'm gonna do a really long bubble squeeze anyway, but I think bigger pieces, bigger chunks will give me more clarity in the final firing. So I don't know, I just filled it up. I don't know what the fill weight is, but we'll see what this looks like when it comes out. Oh, and for you naysayers who are like, man, that used a ton of product, that's gonna cost a fortune. Yeah, I mean, I think Tabitha's art, for what it is still very affordable because her stuff is gorgeous. I also don't think I'm making this for the budget crowd. I mean, I think that this is going to end up being a gorgeous piece that I may end up keeping myself, and so I'm going to put an investment in it. I have a lot of this art from her. I want to go ahead and use it, and not just admire it, but actually use it. And so there you go. It may not be for everybody, but this is how I chose to use the stock that I had. Okay, there you go. I just threw some stuff in that I thought would make some visual interest, and I did a fairly heavy dose of hairspray on this, and I'm going to let it stick and stay for a little bit before I put any Tecta in, because these elements really do need to be in a specific location, and then when I do put Tecta in, I'll do it very carefully, but I want it to be relatively dry and secure before I do that. So anyway, I think it looks pretty cool as it is. I'll add the clear and then we'll fire it. Oh my goodness. I'm trying not to be too proud of myself, but I'm so proud of myself. This is just gorgeous. I know that you look at this and say, gosh, that's a lot of Murini, and it is, but these mandalas that Tabitha makes are so gorgeous. And this reminds me of a beautiful, like, Murano style paperweight. There are bubbles, and that's to be expected because I use chopped up Tecta, and that's going to capture bubbles. But I think bubbles are cool in a paperweight like this, so I'm actually delighted by them. If there were no bubbles, I think I'd actually be a little disappointed. So pleased with how this turned out. Yay. I don't know what else to say. What I can think of is that the depth that's in here, because of all that clear that I used, really sets those off well. I know that it doesn't come across in video the same way it does in person. I'm really, really excited about it. And then here is the fish version, and I am equally excited about this. So much depth. You've got the bubbles, which are really cool because it is an underwater scene, so it adds even more to it. The elements fused great. I love it. Now, this one didn't sit quite as steady, so I did use my grinder flat lap combo to kind of grind this edge off a little bit. It sits nice and flat now. It's quite secure. The colors, the depth, the movement. I mean, this, yeah. I'm feeling a little bit like a rock star. I'm not going to lie. I love this. So there you go. I hope you learned something watching these. I think, as I'm looking at it, there's some flaws. There's some things I might do a little bit differently in the future. But overall, I'm very, very pleased. I think my customers will clamor for stuff like this. Can't wait to show them off. I'm going to go take some pictures. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed and learned something. And please follow along for future videos. I got lots more coming. Bye-bye.